It is a beautiful afternoon here in California. Today, we've got quite the drive ahead. In fact, I am surrounded by some pretty spectacular cars here with Ryan Friedman Motor Cars, but I've got the key in my pocket to something I've never driven before. Today, we are checking out the Porsche GT3 RS 4-litre. Not just any one of these, but one in PTS Pastel Orange. One of a trio, actually, that were ordered by 3 friends in matching specifications. Ryan Friedman Motor Cars have brought some amazing cars out here, as you can see around us, all the rarest limited editions, and this is one I've never driven. The final chassis, the last send-off for this generation of the Porsche 911. It looks amazing, and today we're going to go and drive it. I've got the keys right here. Hi guys, I'm Shmee. Hello and welcome back to the channel. Let's do this. GT3 RS 4-litre time. For the run today, I am swapping out of the 4GT, but before we go anywhere, I do need to show you through the cars that Ryan Friedman Motor Cars have brought here, because they are all in pretty epic specifications, starting with the 360 Challenge Stradale in Giallo Modena Striped Elite. That is a very rare configuration. Over here, we have a Porsche 911 991.2 Speedster, the final send-off of this generation, 1,948 cars. But look at this. The interior is finished in this brown leather, which comes from the Carrera GT. I love those kinds of details. Manual NA flat 6. Opposite, of course, is this, one of 19 US PTS 4 litres. It's believed to be 39 in total across the entire world, and only 3 of those are this colour, which is kind of cool. Down there, the 360 Challenge Stradale. Perhaps at first you're thinking launch specification, but no, that has a gated manual gearbox. It has been manual swapped rather than the F1. Behind me here, the Monterey Blue, here near to Monterey, Lamborghini Murcielago LP640 Coupe, again, gated manual. This car used to belong to Ed Bolian, in fact. Come forwards, we have a 992 GT3 winged car. Opposite, we have a 991.2 GT3, lovely spec. This is a touring manual gearbox, and of course, my Mustang Dark Horse up ahead. This, as lineups of cars go, is really quite something. And I tell you what, that 4-litre, along with the majority of the other cars here, can in fact be found on our platform to preserve the history of these cars' exclusive car registry. For example, looking at the 3 different PTS Pastel Orange 4 litres. Out of the 600 of these that were made in total, the database currently has around 400 or so of the cars. We'd love you to get involved. If you've got some pictures or seen some of the others, do check them out, get them uploaded, and we can build and complete all of the information about these magnificent things. I tell you what though, I should probably show you around it a little bit more before we're going to get it started, get that key inserted, get it fired up, out on the road, and go have a bit of a convoy drive. Let's have a quick introduction to this car before we're going to be heading out in a moment, but it's looking insane under the sunshine here in California. One of the 600 cars, the last send-off to the 997 generation of the GT3 RS. The .2, the facelift with the enlarged motor, up from the 3.8 in the standard production car. There are, of course, a host of updates and changes, things we'll talk about when we're driving, but only 600 in the entire world. About 140 of those were originally delivered in the United States, but given it was around, well, nearly 15 years ago now, of course, cars start to move a little bit around the world. Of those, only 19 in PTS colours, and only 3 in this shade, the Pastel Orange. 3 cars actually ordered by 3 friends to match one another as it happened back at the time. The 4-litre is distinct for a few things, visually at least. The livery package, it normally has a red pinstripe. That's been actually overlaid with the black details on this, which are underneath the PPF. It was a different time back then. You've got the additional aero, the winglets that you see around the front corners of the bumper, and also on the large wing, they had enlarged end plates versus the regular 3.8. The larger engine went up to 500 horsepower, 493 brake horsepower, and of course inside it maintained the rather fantastic 6-speed manual gearbox, which we shall talk about plenty more when we're out on the road in a moment. I have to say though, with all of the silver detailing, things like the mirror caps, now this car with the grey wheels as well to match with that, as opposed to the black ones that I think it's worn in previous years, it looks incredible. Looks absolutely fantastic. This car is opted with the bucket seats that you can see inside. European cars could have the cage. That wasn't available for the United States cars, and some of them also were delivered with the regular comfortable seats instead. But this is the 997 generation GT3 RS at its absolute finest, so I should probably take the key, step in, go and get this started, because very shortly we're going to set off with this. So in here, it's awesome to be here, and I actually can't wait to get this out driving. Foot on the brake, foot on the clutch, let's pop the key in. Let's get it started up. All right, let's get ready. I think we're about to go. Looks like everyone's gearing up. Let me, I was gonna say reverse slightly, but I don't have much room to go and I did not want to hit a CS front bumper. The Speedster alongside us, gearing up as well. Right, give the lovely Monterey Blue Mercy some space to move out. This is the calm before the storm. I love it. Challenge Stradale, rolling up the hill, and then off goes my Ford GT, which is always a little bit strange, but we'll roll with it. I'm gonna follow the GT here. It's actually always fun, even for me, to see my own car being driven on the road, because that's not something that happens very often. I mean, look at this. Just all these cars together. Oh, this is what it's about. We've got to watch the dip here as we join the road with all of these cars together. It's funny when you've got that like snake of everybody doing bizarre angles to get through the dips in the concrete, but we have kind of managed, and we are away. And I tell you what, the response of the engine is actually beautiful. It's brilliant. It comes straight through. We'll get to some flowing roads. Oh, the sounds. This is completely factory in terms of the exhaust. But when those valves open, obviously we've got the windows down at the moment, the switches are kind of awkwardly on the upper part of the door. Oh, we don't have one touch on the passenger side. Gotta hold that one up. Drop a gear. Yes. Gotta remember though that this is like $1 million plus car now. This is a really special thing. As 4 litres go, this is like the top of the top, and we're driving it here in this Convoy. Oh, Aston went the other way. And wait for the views that are going to open up as well, because up here, look at that. Look at that. That is absolutely incredible. Wow. And here we are, 4 litre, learning it, manual, only available with manual. The same for the 3.8. Obviously that was an era where manual gearboxes were lighter, dual clutches were just arriving on the scene. This car competed, remember, with the SLS and the 458 Italia. The Speciale hadn't yet arrived. This was back in 2010, 2011, 12, the first cars, with a proper old school style manual. And as we're enjoying engine wise, the last of the Metzger engine. This was the end of that era of these engines from Porsche, and it's revered to this day. You know, people speak very highly about these for good reason. The car feels very light. It's about 1360 kilos, which again by modern standards is very, very light. Obviously on a twisty road, which we're going to arrive at very shortly, it's going to really come into its own. Oh nice, GT3 RS went the other way. Cool. I think we're going to be seeing quite a few nice cars around. Oh, getting through the revs. It revs up beautifully. Very torquey engine. Steering is weighted. It's super heavy. Obviously very real steering compared to the electronic setups of the more modern generation cars. This is an amount of power that, yes, is not going to be absolutely mind-blowing, but it's plenty for the public road, and it's about the car being so balanced and all connected together. Yeah, I don't really know what to say. I mean, I'm looking in my mirrors at the Monterey Blue 640, and then the GT3 Touring, and then the CS, and then I'm looking up in front of us at the Ford GT, the Speedster, and then the other CS in front of that. It doesn't get a whole lot better than this. G63 towards us. There are so many nice cars here, and one of the nicest of them all is the car that we're in, and the car that's up in front of us, and the car that's behind us. I tell you what, as I start to get a little bit more familiar with this, there's something, oh look at this, beautiful gullwing. Ah, that's so nice. Wow, I love this place. So what I was going to say, as I start to get a little bit more familiar with this, Porsches 911s. I had a 991.2 GT3. The 991 succeeded the 997, that was a 996. Each different generation code name gets very, very confusing, but the 997s you can think of as 2 full models back, and of course there have been a few different iterations of each. And when it comes to GT3 RSs, GT2 RSs, the GT2 RS is normally based on the turbo, the real flagship, and there was of this generation as well. which you could say was really the pinnacle of the 997, but this was the one that was the purest driver's choice. You know, it's not about throwing massive power, it's about making a car that overall comes together completely perfectly. And as we just start to get into this, and I learn it, the way the engine revs up is actually really spectacular. Revs to 8.25, 8,250 RPM. I think we're just opening up some space in front of us before an opportunity to use some power. Get some of that as we go up through the revs. And I tell you what it immediately feels the most similar to from my previous experience is driving the 911R, the 991.1 final send-off. 991 cars based on the effectively GT3 RS of that platform before they reintroduced manual gearboxes with the 991.2 GT3 and GT3 Touring. It's complicated trying to understand all of the Porsche 911 models. But here, in this, on this road, it's probably more civilized than I thought. You know, when you're clutched in or at a stop sign or something, you have the rattle that comes from the lightweight flywheel. Everything just kind of shakes a little bit around you. But it's not extremely loud, it's not extremely antisocial, it's quite easy to drive. The car's light and nimble, it's not set up too aggressively, so it's not grabbing all over the road. And it just generally feels like a really sorted, well-to-do car, which makes sense for driving here. Of course, these things are so popular, especially out in California, because they do well. The AC's working nicely. You know, this is a 13, 14-year-old car. This is very much my era. When I started car spotting and filming videos, these were brand new. I remember the first one of these that I saw. I remember a white one that I saw back in the days, and I remember filming one at the Goodwood Festival of Speed Hill Climb as well. I remember back in, must have been summer 2011, on the Foss Hill Climb, the GT3 RS 4-litre blasting up. And here we are, finally driving one, finally getting to experience it for myself in the most amazing fashion with all of the cars in the convoy. It's just insane. Ferraris are plenty, 812 GTS, Pista, 458 Spider. It's just ridiculous. And then these views here up just south of Monterey and Carmel. It's the most amazing place. This is Big Sur, and we're driving with all of these. Obviously you've got the mix of sports cars, supercars, and then tourists taking it easy. It couldn't be better. And I tell you another thing I really like is the simplicity of the steering wheel. There are no buttons or clutter. It's thin, small, easy to drive with. Oh, Senna. I don't know if you caught that, but a Senna just drove past us completely randomly. We had gull wings to Senna. What on earth is going on right now? I was saying, from a driving position point of view, these bucket seats are brilliant. I prefer them to the newer seat that arrived with the 918 Spider and then the 901 generation RS. The seating position gives you good visibility. It's a 911, right? It's set up to be all round perfect. As we cross the Bixby Bridge and look out at the right-hand side. Yeah. That is a little bit of what I'm talking about. The stuff dreams are made of. And you look out the front and the orange of the arches and the front end. Boy, it's bright in this sunshine. But it works, it suits this car so well. The roads open a little bit more, the turn-in and the grip is actually awesome. I know we're not flying, it's a public road, right? But you feel instantly if a car is good in that respect or if it needs a little bit more work. And in here, the front just, oh nice. Gunther Works Speedster, LFA, Carrera GT. I don't know how much of that you caught on the camera, but Gunther Works Speedster, LFA and CGT just went past us. What on earth? This is turning into a bit of a car spotting video. That wasn't really my plan, but I'm totally game with it. Driving this down the hill here, following the GT, with all of that stuff around as well. It's pretty perfect if you ask me. Well, the fun thing here then is that we are all pulling over for a second, which is always a good photo op moment and an opportunity to hop out and see everything. While we're parked up then, take a look at this. This is cool. This lineup of cars. Love that interior. Not normally a fan of grayscale or white cars, but when it's got an interior like that, it looks good. This in the sunshine, this shade is magnificent. And then this car, love that it's got the blue seats, of course, as well, but the blue interior, that's really, really nice. All of these are nice. Just getting some photos here beside the ocean with everything together. What a drive with the Ryan Friedman Motor Cars team. And then look at this thing. Look at this thing. What a car. Obviously the badge on the front is the famed sticker badge. We don't need anything, nothing needs towing. And obviously in here, the gated manual shifter. Very, very special, very nice. What an amazing, colourful lineup of supercars for this kind of drive. What a great, great, great combo. It's time to hop back in. We are continuing this journey, so we're gonna go that way. God, the blue sky is lovely. All of the cars. Right, let's get this started again and get ready to go. I think we are following gated. I love that plate. G8 ED on the gated CS. So what I need to do is bring this out a little bit more. Use more of the revs. Now we're talking. Let's pop it back into sport mode. It's about 6,000 RPM. Starts to come more alive. Now that I've had permission to open the taps a little bit more. It's the steering in here and also some of the lower end torque that is so much more than I remember of the regular 3.8. It's starting to get a little bit more lively and make a little bit more noise from it as well. Look at this, look at the rock out here to the right, that view. Not sure how much you can see, maybe as we come around from behind the trees here. What on earth is this place? Time for some more of the revs then. This thing's pretty awesome. I think you just need to stick an exhaust on it. I think it would be just the little extra that makes it, I'm going to say perfect. That sounded amazing. I'm not sure how much you heard of that, as he disappeared off into the sunshine. But it was definitely pretty epic. Time to play a little bit of catch up. Let the revs sing. Just keep it in third gear and use the torque. Now that is a cool bit of tarmac, snaking around the hills like this. I love the way this thing turns in. That's actually got to be one of the best things about it. The steering feel, the small wheel, the quick response. And then build up the revs. Just all around amazing. The tow trucks from earlier have found a purpose. Rescuing somebody. Unfortunately, however, it means we, I think, are behind the one in front of us, which is not ideal. Up to 8,000 RPM. Let's find the red line. There we go. That's where this excels, when you're really pushing on and driving it properly. That's where this comes to life a little bit more, because we're back with the CS. That makes a bark and a half. What I was going to say about this though is the engine feels so raw and race ready. It's got that, you know, rough sound to it that makes it sound like it's come straight out of a cup car. It's really an edgy kind of feeling, but a lively feeling, and it revs beautifully fast. It just needs a bit more sound to it. I think that's the main thing that would be the absolute best. But as driving experiences go, you feel connected to the car. It's amazing actually to go back a little bit and drive this older generation car in comparison with some of the newer ones that I've driven and spent a lot of time in with, obviously, since. I'll pop the window up. And to get a little bit of the history, right, the roots. I think I probably expected it to be more extreme. I expected it to be more of a hardcore machine than it is. Not that it isn't, if you know what I mean. But I was thinking more of like real, I'd probably be quite uncomfortable in it, and I'm not uncomfortable in it. I think you could happily do a lot of miles in this thing. You could enjoy it and really clock up those miles and not worry about it, apart from the value side of things. Drop the gears, back on the throttle, let the flat six sing. I can't complain. Today is a good day. A big thank you to Ryan, Harrison and the team at Ryan Friedman Motor Cars. This is the kind of day I like. This is a good one. When we're parked back up, this is the thing, in neutral, lifting off the clutch. Hear that? The lightweight flywheel? That's part of what makes the car both significantly lighter than the standard one, but also feel rawer, feel more race car-esque. Things like having the door grab pulls as well, and the limited edition number plaque over here. This is number 304 of the 600 GT3 RS 4 litres. Sounds pretty nice. Sounds very nice. So, I guess, for the time being, let's hop back out. Now that we've returned, I want to give you some of my thoughts on driving this and an interesting comparison in a moment. But beforehand, a couple of other things about this particular car or about other models in general. If you think about the different RS cars from Porsches, one thing they've done from before this and still do that's actually really clever is that at the front of the cars, given they're quite low to the ground, the front splitters, and you do have a lift system, but these are easily replaceable plastic. No 5-figure pieces of carbon fibre. So if you go somewhere like the Nürburgring or a different racetrack with lots of curbs, if you end up scraping the front on the ground, the thing that you're damaging, you can change very easily and very quickly at any dealer without having to kind of bite the bullet of spending a massive amount of money on some carbon fibre. And that just tells you a little bit of what they're all about, right? It's also quite a small car, being a couple of generations older, which is interesting as well, because while the roads here are plenty big, they suit American pickup trucks, right? A car like this just feels really small and really drivable. And I mean, we've obviously got the 992 right in front, and comparatively, this 2 generations back is just a smaller thing. I do want to show you in the engine bay, because in the new cars you can see absolutely nothing. In this generation of car, if I just pop this open from down here, you do get to see a little bit of that Metzger engine. If we open this up, wing and boot lid opening together, small bit of carbon fibre back here, and you can kind of poke your eyes through and see a little bit of it. But that's very much what this is about. Sibling to the race car engine. Sounds amazing when you're revving it up. Stick an exhaust on it and it's going to be even better as well, and a big part of the fun of what this offers. And to close this down, give it a nice solid press. To go to the front, given that of course it's based on a 911, at the front you have a frunk, so you can squeeze some stuff into the seat area behind, or you do have some luggage space inside here, currently with just some stuff inside it, but you get the point. You can fit some decent luggage in it. So not only can you go to a racetrack, have a whole lot of fun, but you can actually use this. You can actually drive this. It's a livable, usable car. And this brings me to my impressions of it. So you could drive this on a 3,000-mile journey across the United States and still be very comfortable at the other end. And my preconception was that it would be much rawer than that. It would be much more of a hardcore thing. But I guess at that period of time, manufacturers hadn't gone quite as extreme as they have now. The closest comparative that I've got to this is actually the 911R, the 991.1 911R, which I loved, and that car was a significant step up in terms of rawness, in terms of vibrations and feel, and just, I'm going to say it was more precise, because the newer engine and the way it shifts, the gearbox in that, or at least the gear lever in that, when you shift it into gear, it's like a really small throw that just slots from one gear to the next. Sometimes precision is slightly less of driver engagement. It almost goes backwards and forwards a little bit on what you want. But often for me, Porsches, and I have to confess the only Porsche I currently own is the Volkswagen Porsche, the 914 from back in the 70s, are almost too precise that it detracts a little bit. You know, you take a car like this, if I can be very blunt about it, it's a bit of a dog to drive. It's big, it's heavy, it's awkward, it's fumbling all over the place, but somehow that makes it really exciting and ridiculously cool. It's a very different pairing of cars that you have right here between the Mercy and this. What makes this very cool to me is the collectible nature of it, and in the particular case of this car, the fact that you can't get one like this, right? If you want a very rare specification PTS GT3 RS 4 litre to join a collection, let's say, good luck finding one. This car is not for sale. Some of the other cars here from Ryan Friedman Motor Cars are for sale, but this one is a special little thing. And I've really appreciated the opportunity to drive it today. That's been a whole lot of fun. So thank you very much to the whole team for letting me get behind the wheel of this. Thank you to you guys for watching as always. I hope you've enjoyed this video. My first outing in a 997.2 GT3 RS 4 litre. That's it for now. Thanks again, and I'll see you soon. Cheers.